Hi, my name is Olga, and today I'm going to tell you mind-blowing facts about Chernobyl. Behind me is the monument dedicated to the liquidators of this nuclear power plant disaster. On April 1986, the fourth reactor at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded during a routine stress test. Workers planned to use their downtime to test whether the reactor could still be cooled if the plant lost power. However, during their test, workers violated safety protocols and power surged. A fire raged for 9 days. The steel and concrete containment shell collapsed, and the superheated fuel melted through the floors into the basement beneath. The exposed burning reactor spewed radioactive isotopes in the atmosphere. The fallout reached across Europe as far as the Norway. But the worst hit regions were in Ukraine, Belarus and Russia. Unlike their 2011 Fukushima Japan nuclear crisis, the Chernobyl reactor explosion was caused by human error instead of a natural disaster. More than 30 years on, scientists estimate the zone around the former plant will not be habitable for up to 20,000 years. Soviet authorities did not immediately admit to the explosion. No one in the surrounding areas was evacuated until about 36 hours after the disaster happened. The Soviet Union evacuated around 300,000 people. The eventual death toll from Chernobyl is subject to speculation and dispute, with calculations ranging from their thousands to hundreds of thousands, because of the radiation fallout that has entered the food chain. After the accident, an area of about 4 square miles, that is equal to 10 square kilometers, became known as the Red Forest, because so many of the trees turned reddish-brown and died after absorbing high levels of radiation. However, even 20 years after the meltdown, the trees have not decayed. Trees growing around Chernobyl grow slower. Additionally, there are fewer spiders and insects around Chernobyl. Birds around Chernobyl have significantly smaller brains than those living in the non-radiation poisoned areas. Chernobyl may have actually been a boon for wildlife. Today, Chernobyl has become one of the world's most unique wildlife areas. Due to the exclusion of human activity around the shattered plant, populations of eagles, beavers, wolves, and deer have increased. Some species thrive, and in some species there are significant and potentially deadly abnormalities, such as birds with deformed beaks, elevated levels of cataracters, albinism, and lower rates of beneficial bacteria. Chernobyl has become a spooky tourist attraction. Although the exclusion zone is uninhabitable, the Ukrainian authorities opened up the area for tourism in 2011. Since then, guides regularly take the visitors to view the wildlife as well as to explore the hastily abandoned ghost towns. The nearest town to Chernobyl was their newly built city Pripyat. The venue has become even more popular after the airing of their 2019 HBO miniseries Chernobyl. There was no containment building or gas-tight shell that surrounds the nuclear reactor. The structure is usually dome-shaped and made of steel-reinforced concrete. It is designed to confine fusion products that may be released into the atmosphere during the accident. The Soviet Union attempted a cover-up of the disaster. Immediately after Chernobyl's reactor meltdown, the Soviet authorities largely kept their own citizens in the dark and did not attempt to alert neighboring countries. The cover-up began falling apart when Swedish air monitors detected high levels of radiation. The full story of what happened would not come out until years later. The clean-up after the fallout was much deadlier than the initial blasts. At least 600,000 people were sent to fight a fire and cleaning up the worst of the nuclear plant's contamination. Those people who became known as liquidators. They were all exposed to elevated radiation levels. The death toll is unknown. The eventual death toll from Chernobyl is subject to speculation and dispute. The World Health Organization estimates that 30,000 deaths can be possible. Over 7 million people have been exposed to radiation from the accident. Others estimate an even higher number. People still live there illegally. Although the vast majority of the exclusion zone remains devoid of humans, a few hundred residents have returned illegally. Even after the evacuation of thousands, some people have never left. Soviet authorities allegedly forced thousands of pregnant women within the 30 kilometers zone to make abortions. Nuclear rain from Chernobyl disaster fell as far as Ireland. 6 months after the explosion, workers built a makeshift cover for the reactor to protect the environment from radiation for at least 30 years. Called the sarcophagus, the cover has not developed cracks, triggering an international effort to create a new encasement. Construction on the €1.5 billion structure was completed and the sarcophagus was opened in 2019. Chernobyl's new safe confinement is a design and construction project unprecedented in the history of engineering. Never before has such a huge structure been constructed. It took 2 decades to make it. Bigger than Wembley Stadium and taller than the Statue of Liberty, it will seal in the most dangerous waste material in the world for 100 years. The sarcophagus is the largest object people have ever moved. The elephant foot is an extremely radioactive material formed during the Chernobyl disaster. Chernobylite is a lava-like glassy material formed in the nuclear meltdown of a reactor core. The substance is highly radioactive due to its high uranium content and contamination of fission products. When the food first formed, exposure to it for just 60 seconds would kill someone. Now 500 seconds is the lethal time. It will remain radioactive for over 100,000 years. The firemen who were on duty and helped contain the Chernobyl's explosion were not informed about the dangers. They all died a few days after an explosion. Approximately 200 tons of radioactive materials are still inside the reactor. Chernobyl explosion is one of only 2 nuclear energy accidents classified as level 7 on the International Nuclear Event Scale. The other one is Fukushima nuclear disaster in Japan, 2011. If you are interested in Ukraine or in Chernobyl disaster, come and explore Ukraine with me.